Hello?
Is this Assistant U.S. Attorney Mary T. Shannon? The T stands for Teresa, right?
It was late. He sounded drunk. Probably a cop that I'd met on a recent narcotic sweep calling for a date. Now, normally, I might engage in this NYPD courting ritual, but I was too busy. It was January 1986. Rudy Giuliani was the U.S. attorney, and I was the newest member of his public corruption unit. After decapitating the mob and terrorizing Wall Street, he had turned his sights to New York City politics. Now, I lived in New York for 6 years and barely knew Ed Koch was mayor, but this was a plum assignment, and I would have to learn fast. Now, my first investigation involved bribery at the New York City Parking Violations Bureau. It was a perfect starter case, and I dug in. Within a few weeks, I had audio taped the deputy director accepting a $5,000 bribe. I had him cold. He'd have to plead guilty. But before my investigation went public, the Queens Borough president, Donald Mannis, attempted suicide. Ed Koch ran to his bedside. After I arrested my bribe-taking deputy a few days later, the tabloids reported he was Mannis's bagman. Rudy was elated. He assigned 3 additional prosecutors, all men with more experience, to help me. They were sharks. I was chum. I needed to swim fast and deep to keep up. And right now, I needed to get back to work.
The T stands for Thérèse, as in Saint Thérèse de Lisieux.
The nuns must be proud. Where'd you go to high school? Stella Maris?
I knew Stella Maris was an all-girls Catholic high school in Queens, but this guy sounded fun. Maybe I had time for a little banter.
Never heard of her. Is she any relation to Roger Maris? I went to Bishop Gorman.
Where's that, Jersey?
Nope, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Rudy's got a broad from Vegas going after the King of Queens? Jesus, he's dumber than I thought.
And who are you?
Jimmy Breslin. You ever heard of me?
Even I knew that Breslin was the Damon Runyon of Queens. He'd written about nothing but Mannis for weeks. I devoured his columns, but they were filled with nicknames and overwrought metaphors. They left me confused.
Sorry, Mr. Breslin, we have a rule about talking to the press.
A rule broken by Rudy every day. I'm not looking for comment. I just wanted to meet the woman who's going to bring Donnie down. How much you know about Queens?
Everything I knew about Queens came from dating an Orthodox Jewish boy in law school. We would meet at Pastrami King on Queens Boulevard after sundown on a Saturday, and the counterman would say to him in Yiddish, "If your mother was alive, this would kill her."
I know enough.
And not if you think this PVB crap is going to stick.
Tell me what I don't know.
You said you couldn't talk to me.
I can't answer your questions, but nothing says you can't answer mine.
Cute. But answer me this. Did your daddy deal blackjack on the strip?
My daddy didn't deal anything. He worked for the IRS and went after the mafia.
It's in the blood. What do you want to know?
That first phone call was long. By the end of it, I knew that Mannis oversaw a system of corruption so pervasive that high school teachers had to pay their councilmen to become principals.
Mr. Breslin.
Jimmy.
Jimmy. Who should I talk to first?
Well, I ain't no cop. Figure it out. And keep reading.
In Sunday's column, Breslin declared himself a warrior in the battle against Queens' political corruption. In that column, and in more to follow, he described one bribe scheme after another, but he never named names. He left out just enough information to keep everybody guessing, especially the other prosecutors on my team. But he didn't keep me guessing. He continued calling and answering my questions. To protect his sources, we played 20 questions.
Jimmy, that lawyer at the funeral,
He needs a subpoena.
everyone calls him Mike, right?
Except his Irish father. He calls him Michael.
I guess my next subpoena should be addressed to Michael Dowd.
Maybe.
As I predicted, the deputy pled guilty. Jimmy sat in the front row of the courtroom. I wore a plaid pleated skirt. In his column the next day, Jimmy mentioned me by name. And later, he called.
That uniform skirt was a nice touch for a girl from Vegas.
I always wear a plaid when I'm doing justice.
Your daddy know what you've been up to.
Of course.
When you send him my columns, which I hope you will, you tell him Jimmy Breslin said you did good.
Thank you, Jimmy. I will.